Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to the Correct Views. Sam I.B. Gangi with the Media Speaks, bringing you the news and commentary of the day. Before I get into it, those of you that have been with the show for a minute, I'm speaking to you and any new viewers, of course. All the news, everything that you normally get from the show, you're going to get, I promise. But I have to do this because I've only got 8 days left to do this. And if it doesn't happen in 8 days, then it's not going to happen. The music that starts the show, that's the band Passing Time. That's the band that I'm in. We have been afforded some very, very good luck. Very, very good luck. And there's a marketing deal looking at us where for $1,000 we are going to get put in front of a lot of the places that we need to get to. It's going to open a lot of doors that are not open to us now. So I'm joined by the illustrious, beautiful Serenity and hello, Tony, her boyfriend Tony, joined in the studio today. Many of you will know that we have a Kickstarter program going on. We do.
Making me bring my own chair.
Well, I don't know where Christelle is. Well, we have an odd little contest here. Anybody that donates to this Bing Kickstarter program, anybody that donates at least $25 is going to find out something different about Serenity. Tony's like laughing. Don't laugh. If you're going to laugh, laugh loud. Like the half laugh isn't going to pick up.
He's too shy.
Many of you may know Serenity Rose from Facebook. She is a dancer at an adult club and the singer of our band. What are you doing for $25 donations to our listeners who are 18 years or older?
Yes, and you must send verification. Cover up your address. I really don't care where you live. Let me know that you're over the age of 18 and you will get a lovely bikini picture of myself.
We are bikini picturing, yes. So why am I starting the Correct Views asking for this? I can tell you why. Are you sick of Rihanna, Nickelback, and Jace Everett? Because that's the only 3 kinds of music you have. Everything sounds just like that. Everything. Well, you can donate to this link right here. If you give $25, look at naughty pictures, bikini pictures of our singer Serenity, which need to be in the right place at the right time to get those. You can look up Serenity Rose on Facebook.com. She's our singer.
Oh, what the hell? Let's spice it up a little bit. Again, prove you are over the age of 18. If anybody donates $100 or more, I may just be able to talk Tony into letting me take a topless picture.
Her boyfriend is like got big eyes. All she did is set me up to get my butt kicked as soon as the show is over is all she did. All right, 18 or over. That's great. Hey, you could let me know this before we went on air. 18 or over.
Sorry.
18 or over. Topless picture if you donate $100. If you donate $25, you get bikini pictures sent to you. So thank you, Serenity Rose of Passing Time.
Thank you for having me on.
Always, friends, go to Passing Time's Kickstarter. Help us out. We have 8 days to raise the money, or guess what? It's not going to happen at all. All right, 3 minutes for a self-plug that I had to do. Friends, I've got 402 videos that I have given my entire thought of nothing but bringing you news. I took 3 minutes to help myself. Yes, I did. Had to. All right, friends, got to pay the bills. TheHill.com. This is wonderful news, not just wonderful news, amazing news of unbelievable variety here. Hillary Clinton is hit with racketeering lawsuit over her emails. For those of you that don't know, the fine queen, Hillary Clinton, decided that it was more convenient to send her emails through a private server than it was to use the existing server. So let me ask you something. I have a bit of a background in this. It's not easier to set up your own server than it is to use the server that somebody else had already had set up. Okay, no, not at all. Pardon me. Rather, she didn't want her emails, especially regarding things like Benghazi, to be known, which of course is the disaster. For those of you that may not know, the Benghazi disaster led to the fall and destruction of Libya and the death of one of our ambassadors. She was hiding it is what she was doing. And then her and her aides deleted it. Do you know that if you are Secretary of State, that is an extremely punishable offense in every possible way? So the Hill.com brings you this. I would not look it up here because the Hill, they have the most annoying pop-ups and non-stop audio. It brings your computer to a crawl. Some of them you can't even pause. So I'm giving you the source, but I wouldn't go there. Terrible website. The conservative group Freedom Watch has filed a racketeering lawsuit against former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton that accuses her of failing to produce documents under the Freedom of Information Act, which of course is there for a reason. We live in an open society. Our leaders have to let us know. It's a law. It's been law since America. It's not new. It's not like they're going after her because she's a woman, which the feminazis like to say, to quote Rush. No, that is not the case. It says the civil suit filed Wednesday in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida argues that Clinton used her private emails to sell access to other officials in return for donations to the Clinton Foundation. This is yet another problem beyond the Libyan scandal, which was drawing my ire. It alleges that during her tenure, Clinton withheld documents requested under the Freedom of Information Act regarding State Department waivers given to businesses or individuals doing business in Iran, possibly undermining U.S. imposed sanctions. Why does that matter? I'm going to be doing a massive Fukushima update in just a few days, and in it, I'm going to be talking about how they are not allowing the atomic agency to look at the construction of the Iranian website. They're doing everything that looks as though they're possibly planning on weaponizing it. Now, for those of you that don't agree with that, for those of you that are on Iran's side in this for some reason, which I don't understand, but I run into all the time, okay, listen to me before you start disliking the video and leaving hate comments. There is this isn't Jewish or Iranian, this isn't Islamic or Christian, this is fact. Scientists know that there's going to be the likelihood of a very huge, very destructive earthquake in that region. The kind of earthquake that shut down and melted down part of Fukushima. For those of you that don't know, it was not the tidal wave that melted down all of the reactors. Much of the meltdown activity started from the earthquake. Even if the tidal wave had never hit, we would still be talking about a certain number of meltdowns there. Iran is going to repeat that. So if you are really on Iran's side, the way that you claim that you are, then you have to understand that if they melt this down with an earthquake, what's going to happen is that's going to kill a lot more Islamists than any number of Jews have, no matter what. That is going to be a mathematical fact. Look at what's happening in Belarus after Chernobyl. If you question me, I'm not making this up, friends. The complaint, which I'll link to it here on the Hill website, which lists Bill and Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation as defendants, alleges that the Clintons sold access to other U.S. government officials in return for donations to their organization, which they concealed, allegedly by using a private computer server for her emails operated out of their home in Chappaqua, New York. In other words, Mrs. Clinton was saying, well, I'll let you talk to Bill, or I'll let you talk to fill in the blank person of importance. You will donate this money to me, but we'll do it through my server so nobody knows. And then, of course, that is used for political purposes, and that is the exact opposite of everything our country has ever been founded upon, which is why it's important enough that I'm doing my commentary on it. Larry Klayman, the founder of Freedom Watch, launched dozens of lawsuits against former President Bill Clinton's administration. In the new lawsuit, he alleges that during Hillary Clinton's tenure, the State Department clearly leaked information to New York Times reporter David Sanger on U.S. and Israeli efforts to counteract Iran's nuclear weapons program. Public reports about plans to counter Iran's nuclear weapons development programs undermine the effectiveness of those plans by revealing them to Iran and other terrorist organizations and states. In other words, helping, if not our enemy, a very questionable regime that has a lot of hatred to the U.S. Whether it's warranted or not is irrelevant. They hate us. That's what matters. Helping this structure work against what the government has done as official policy. Her own side, going against things that even Obama has allowed to remain in place. The woman has betrayed other Democrats, for crying out loud. That's another way to look at it. Friends, I don't care if you're going to vote Libertarian like I probably am. I don't care if you're going to vote Ron Paul like I might. I don't care if you're going to vote for someone that I'm not going to vote for, like Warren. What matters is that this woman is against everything that both parties officially stand for. When you look at her with any kind of open mind and any kind of sense of history and constitutionality, she's bad news, people. Real bad news. Speaking of meltdowns and things nuclear, I'm going to get to this, a little bit of a heads up before we go into the massive Fukushima update in a few days, a week, on the beginning of the month. ZeroHedge.com, Japan's Pacific Rim job, build a 250-mile anti-tsunami wall to create jobs. I'm not completely against this. I understand that a lot of people are saying that this is going to build complacency and that people won't live in higher areas, which they should, because there will be future tsunamis. Obviously, in Japan, that's arguably how it was created. There's going to be other massive tsunamis and tidal waves that hit the area. What they're saying is we're going to build a wall to prevent at least a very high percentage of the damage in areas. I am not against it. I'm not. I think this is a very common sense idea. It ruins the view. Yeah, well, you want the view of a tidal wave washing your house away. I'm sorry. I don't think that this is a bad idea. Again, is it going to be foolproof? Should it lead to complacency? No, it should not. You know what you're doing if you live near the beach, but at least in Japan. But it would be very wise to do this. I'm not against it. Guys, let me know what you think. It appears that Japanese policymakers are getting inspiration from Hollywood for their latest economic fixes. Having begun the building of a giant Game of Thrones-esque ice wall to hold back the radiation leaking from Fukushima, only to fail miserably, that was an awful idea. The latest cunning plan from the Japanese is to build a Pacific Rim-esque massive costly seawall to fend off tsunamis. The $6.8 billion, 250-mile-long, 41-foot-high concrete barrier public works project is seen by some as a necessary evil and by others as a jail. You know what? I don't agree. I'm sorry, Tyler Durden. I usually agree with you here at Zero Hedge, but no, I don't agree. I think that this is not going to build complacency. I think this is one step in a direction that will save a lot of people's life in the long run. There are people saying that they want it because it's going to create jobs and each community is going to have to hire so many people. It's more than the dollars and cents. I don't even care so much about that. I do think there are areas that could benefit from this. Leave a message in the comment line. Let me know what you think. We're going to move on. Prison Planet. Actually, economic collapse. Michael Snyder, most Americans are slaves, and they don't even know it. This article struck me for a number of reasons, and I've been keeping it since February. Here goes. Most Americans spend their lives working for others, paying off debts to others, and performing tasks that others tell them that they must do. These days, we don't like to think of ourselves as servants or slaves, but that is what the vast majority of us are. It is just the mechanisms of our enslavement have become much more sophisticated over time. It has been said that the borrower is servant to the lender, and most of us start going into debt very early in our adult lives. In fact, those who go to college to get an education are likely to enter the real world with a staggering amount of debt. I haven't made a lot of really huge mistakes in my life, but the number of student loans that I allowed to be taken out in my name by a certain person who I trusted was one of them. So I understand this. It says the course that is just the beginning of the accumulation. Today, when you add up all the mortgage debt, all credit card debt, and all student loan debt, the average American household today is carrying a grand total of $203,163 of debt. That's staggering to me, by the way. I can't even imagine that. Overall, most American households are more than $11 trillion in debt at this point. And even though most Americans don't realize this, over the course of their lifetimes, the amount of money that they will repay on our debts is far greater than the amount that we originally borrowed. In fact, when it comes to credit card debt, he writes, you can easily end up repaying several times the amount of money that you originally borrowed. So we work our fingers to the bone to pay off these debts, and the vast majority of us are not even working for ourselves. God, I wish we were. Instead, our work makes the business that other people own even more profitable. So if we spend our best years of our lives building businesses for others, servicing debts that we owe to others, and making others wealthier, what exactly does that make us? In 2015, the words servants and slave have very negative connotations, and we typically don't use them very much. Instead, we use words like employee because they make us feel so much better. But is there really much difference, he asks. This is how Google defines servant. Quote, a person who performs duties for others, especially a person employed in the house of domestic duties or the personal attendant. This is how Google defines slave. A person who is the legal property of another and is forced to obey them. This is how Google defines employee. A person employed for wages or salary, especially on a non-executive level. It goes on, most of us might not be legal property of someone else in the very narrow sense, but in the broader sense, we have to answer to someone. We all have someone that we must obey. We all have obligations that we must meet or else face consequences. At this point, it says, Americans are more dependent on the system than ever before. Small business ownership in the U.S. is at a record low, and the percentage of Americans that are self-employed has fallen to unprecedented levels in recent years. Pause. And this is where the commentary of the correct views becomes very, very accurate. Everything that you've just heard that this gentleman wrote, I can tell you from life experience, is 110% true. Do you realize that my brother and I would have long owned a nightclub? We have a business plan drawn up for it. We have the talent to make it happen. And we have absolute proof that it's going to bring in quite a bit of money. I don't want to give more than that because I'll get the idea stolen. But they have erected so many barriers to anybody starting a business that you can't do anything because you can't get your hands on enough money to actually make it happen. I may be purchasing a house to rent. The only reason that happened is because some unfortunate, through a series of horrible events that I wish never would have happened, both of my parents died. So in this country, if you don't have a lot of money and you work your whole life and you never slack off, which is the definition of me my whole life, by the way, Unless someone dies, you'll never own anything that you can actually make money from in the long run. And if you think that that's false, then go ahead and look up all the barriers that there are in this country. That is one of the main reasons that I am so adamantly libertarian. We do not need this many restrictions to stop a person or a small group of people from starting a business. The reason that this happens, among other things, such as greed and revenue for the state as a whole, is because this opens the door for large corporations like Chili's or McDonald's or whatever to come in, because Sam's Burger Hut would cost so much to open that it could never happen. So please pay attention to this. Don't zone out. Don't just assume, oh yeah, the economy sucks, I know next. Don't skip ahead. Listen to this. It says from a very early age, we are trained to study hard so that we can get a good job and be good cogs of the system. But what is life? But what is life about? Is it about being a cog in the system that ultimately benefits only others? Perhaps you don't think that any of this applies to you personally. Well, if someone came up to you and asked you what you truly own, what would you say? Do you own your vehicle? Most Americans don't. Pause. Let me tell you how I've started doing it recently. Now, you need to buy bigger vans, and don't feel bad about it. Man-made global warming is a lie. Although I would argue the carbons are giving us all cancer, but what are you going to do? Get a larger vehicle. I've been getting cargo vans because I'm in a band. I play keyboards. I play 2 of them. So, I mean, again, without question, I need a very big vehicle. I also snowboard. If you can get it for around $1,000, $1,200, that cargo van will get you everywhere you want to go. I had a 1989 cargo van that I drove through 5 states in. You can, I think I want to say I put like 250,000 miles on this car, 200,000. We drove everywhere. You can look up Bilderberg, Why It Mattered to Me. It's a documentary we made, and the van is in it. You can also see it in Becoming Paul Revere, the other documentary that it drove into. One was made in Virginia, one was made in Chicago. So you get the point. For $1,200, say I put another grand in it. For $2,200, I had the van for over 2 years. The junk value of a van that heavy is between $300 to $500, depending. If you've been saving even $5 when you get off work every day for your next vehicle, when you junk it, you can repeat the entire process over again. Why can somebody, I'm just a DJ, guys. That's all I am. I'm a DJ. How does a DJ afford to go snowboarding at resorts? By not having a car payment. That's how. I don't want a damn car payment. So there you go. Free advice. That's how you do that. It says, in fact, today the average auto loan at signing is approximately $27,000, and many of them stretch on for 6 or 7 years. My ex used to talk me into that. It was absolute hell. It says, what about a home? Obviously, most Americans don't own the home. In fact, banks have much greater ownership and interest of our homes and our land than we do. If you have your entire home paid off, do you own it? It says not really. It happens if you quit paying your property taxes, which is, of course, rent to the authorities. What about other stuff? It says, and then goes into all the debt that we have for, TVs, whatever. But think about it. You can't become anything hardly in this country because of the rather vile set of laws that prevent you from actually being able to achieve your dreams. And yet there's everything that I just read to you there happening, and there's almost nothing anybody can do about it because we don't have a structure that is set up, again, as I said, in a very libertarian or constitutionalist way. We have this, to quote George Bush, New World Order system, this central banking system. We have these military-industrial complexes. What is that? You hear it all the time. It's the need to pay for war by taxing war. And you can see it every day. I mean, you don't have to listen to me to know that. I've given you what you need to know, and this is why we need to vote for people that are not in the two major parties. And again, I know I mentioned Rand earlier, but I did a whole show on Rand if you want my thoughts on him. No, I don't think he'd be a bad president. No, I don't think he'll be a great one. Jury acquits grower who cited medical need for marijuana. This is the Sun Sentinel. This is wonderful news. We needed some good news after that hanging story I just did. It said it worked. For the first time in Florida history, a Broward County jury acquitted a marijuana grower after finding he has a medical need for the illegal drug. Jesse Teplicki hid nothing from the detectives who showed up at his Hollywood home 2 years ago, acting on the tip that he was growing pot on the premises. Oh my God, he's the devil. He did nothing from the jury. He hid nothing from the jury on Thursday when he took the stand at his criminal trial, even admitting that he smoked marijuana cigarette earlier in the day to treat nausea and suppressed appetite that had been plaguing him for decades. Teplicki is the first defendant in Florida to argue medical need in a marijuana case. The jury of 4 women and 2 men deliberated for less than an hour before returning the verdict. You saved my life, a tearful Teplicki told 3 jurors who stayed in the courtroom after they were discharged by Broward Circuit Judge Michael Ian Rothschild. Manufacture of cannabis is a felony, it says, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Teplicki, 50, had rejected several plea offers, admitting his actions but referring to the plant as medicine that he needs to function. He has suffered anorexia since the age of 9, according to a trial testimony. Again, just eat. You know what? I guess I've gone through periods where I've starved myself because I've gotten heavier. I get it. I don't know. In any event, it's a lot better than the drugs that they want to give you to make you hungry. Marijuana is by far and away better for you than any of that. It says medical need has worked for defense before, but it's never been tried in front of a jury. Well, it's good to see that it happened for him. Again, let's remember what jury nullification is, too. It's when a jury acquits somebody, even if they broke the law, because the law in and of itself is wrong and unconstitutional. So something like that may have happened here. I also want to invite you, especially if you're in Ohio. If you don't do this and you're in Ohio and you're listening to the show, there's something wrong with you. Ballotpedia.org, Ohio Marijuana Legalization Initiative 2015. To make a long story short, if this is going to happen, it's got to happen by July. I want to say it's July 1st, 2015. They need 305,591 signatures. And it would legalize the recreational and medical use of marijuana for persons who are 21 years or age or older. That would save us a fortune in taxes and free up a lot of people. Friends, I'm proud to tell you that Facebook.com has lost the correct views because I am not changing my name to be on their crappy site. So make sure you look up the correct views at Tumblr, TUMBLR. I don't know why they spelled it that way. It's awful, but they did. And you'll get the correct views on a regular basis. Now, screw Facebook. I will say this, though. If you're trapped on Facebook, look up Mike McLaughlin. Why? Because he's an amazing writer. And I'm proud to have a writer as a sponsor of the show in every possible way. Mike McLaughlin, M-A-C, laugh, L-A-U-G-H-L-I-N. Let him know you heard about his writings from the correct views. He writes vampire stories. He writes poetry. He writes political rants. You've got to go and look him up. Please let him know you heard about it from the correct views. Friend Steve Watson, PrisonPlanet.com. And this is brought to you by Sticker Junkie. You have an idea in your head and think, I would be a great sticker. I would love to do that. You're in a band like I am. We need stickers. If you have a rough idea of what you want, go to stickerjunkie.com and tell David Lake that you were told by Sam at the Correct Views that he could make you the most wicked sticker you've ever seen. And mark my words, that'll happen. Cops in Florida burst into a man's house rented by 320-something friends this week and immediately shot one of them dead, according to accounts, despite the fact that he was unarmed and non-threatening, according to the article. Again, Steve Watson, cops bust into house, shoot unarmed man in the face. 26-year-old Derek Cruz was shot in the face and killed during the botched raid in Deltona. His shocked friends said he did nothing wrong and described the act as murder, which clearly it seems as there's no other way you could look at it. It says Cruz's housemates say that the cops smashed down the door with a battering ram at 7 a.m. while they were in bed. Cruz, wearing only basketball shorts and no shirt, was the first to emerge from his bedroom and was shot on sight, according to his friend Stephen Cochran. The police had claimed that Cruz advanced towards them, but the housemates say that this is not true. Well, how many times in these cases have we found out that the cops had lied about what happened? It happened in the Eric Garner case. Did it happen in the Brown case? No, the cop was right in the Brown case. It says this is completely a lie. I was there. I watched the whole thing. There was no advancement. There was no reaching for anything. The guy was wearing basketball shorts like I am. It's kind of hard to conceal anything or hide anything when that is all that you have on, a clearly shaken Cochran told reporters. What a brave person. As soon as the gunshot happened, I froze, he said. Nobody resisted. There were no weapons. Nobody was making any resistance or trying to keep anybody from doing their job. Volusia County Sheriff's Office narcotics investigators and the Street Crimes Unit were attempting to serve a search warrant at the residence. They were met with resistance and a shooting occurred, the county sheriff Ben Johnson said in a statement. Cruz's actions caused the deputy to perceive a threat. Well, there's been instances where 10-year-olds have told cops they were a perceived threat and they got tased. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's an excuse is what it is. That was said from the sheriff's office spokesman Gary Davidson. He told the Orlando Sentinel, adding, "It has since been determined that Cruz wasn't armed." Police claim that investigators have searched the house and found 217 grams of marijuana and other marijuana-related paraphernalia. This is why the drug war needs to end. I don't care if he had 217 pounds of marijuana. Shooting somebody over weed. It's more like shooting people over income tax evasion. It's more like keeping the drug war alive and keeping the money coming in. That's really what it is. When you follow it, nobody dies over weed. You know exactly what they killed this person for. It says the officer who shot Cruz had been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. You know what? This is absolutely ridiculous. No-knock raids are being abused in the way that everybody said they would when they became more standard back when I was too young to even know what was happening. Every fear, if you look up the old articles that they had, has come true. I know you guys are going to ask, by the way, that's by KC, the artist KC, K-E-S-E-Y, signs them as a K and a C. Excellent. NASA.gov, two more stories to get to, going a little bit long today. This is very science-y. I have had a lot of people that tuned in and really, really like the science stuff that I do. I also do news from the science front on the Media Speaks at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each and every Saturday. But we're going to go to this one here because I can't possibly get to all of them on the science front. I've been backed up lately. NASA telescopes gives shape to a furious black hole wins. And NASA's nuclear spectroscopic telescope array and ESA's XMM Newton telescope are showing that fierce winds from a supermassive black hole blow outward in all directions, a phenomenon that had been suspected but difficult to prove until now. This discovery has given astronomers their first opportunity to measure the strength of the ultra-fast winds and prove that they are powerful enough to inhibit the host galaxy's ability to make new stars. This is interesting for those of you that are, like I am, a little bit on the fence about this whole dark matter thing. I don't want to say I don't believe in it, but if I was asked if I did or didn't, I'm leaning towards don't. And a lot of the findings that you'll see here will kind of probably lean you more in my direction here. It says, we know black holes in the centers of galaxies can feed on matter, and this process can produce winds. This is thought to regulate the growth of the galaxies, said Fiona Harrison of the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena, Cali. Harrison, it says, is the principal investigator of New Star and co-author of a new paper about these results appearing in the journal Science. Knowing the speed, shape, and size of the winds, we can now figure out just how powerful they are. It says supermassive black holes blast matter into their host galaxies with X-ray emitting winds traveling up to 1/3 the speed of light. In the new study, astronomers determined PDS 456, an extremely powerful black hole known as the quasar, more than 2 billion light years away, sustained winds that carry more energy every second than is emitted by 1,000,000,000,000 suns. That's more energy than it would take to revive Hillary Clinton's career. It says, we know quasar winds significantly contribute to mass loss in a galaxy, driving out its supply of gas, which is the fuel star formation, said the study's lead author, Emanuele Nardini of Keele University in England. It says it's a great example of the synergy between the new star and the Newton. So there you go. Interesting for those of you that like to follow the science news, those of you that enjoy that side of the show. Very interesting studies because it proves that the forces that are all around us are through the roof. Don't forget, we have, I want to say it's happening Friday, a major event going on. Again, last Friday, I think it was the three with the trilogy, I forget what it's called, the trilogy of stars or something. But anyway, 3 things that never line up, like eclipses and time changes for the planet. Everything shifted. And I know there's another one. I thought I did write it down. Yeah. Huge asteroid to fly by Earth at 37,000 kilometers an hour. And I'm going to do it real quick. I wasn't going to do this, but if I don't do it now, it's going to be dated. Don't worry. Fans that like the dumb D of the day, you're going to get your dumb D. It's bad. RT, huge asteroid to fly by Earth. Again, happens Friday. It says a 1,000-meter wide asteroid is heading towards Earth this weekend. Its course will reach the closest point of our planet on Friday, according to NASA. Traveling at a speed, again, 37K. In 2014, YB35 asteroid is set to approach Earth from a distance of 4,473,807 kilometers, or 11.7 times further away than the moon. Friends, that is like in your back pocket compared to the enormity of what we're talking about here. And it's going to come back again. I believe it's in 2033. So those of you that have clear skies are going to want to see that, and it'll awaken you to the majesty of God. I'm dead serious. I'd be wiped out in a millisecond. Literally, an asteroid that could lead to if it hit the planet, it would be a life-killing event. We would die off like dinosaurs. We're going to get a real good glimpse of one of them, friends. All right, those of you bored to death by science, and I hope that's nobody, Mikhail Fail at PrisonPlanet.com gives us the dumb D of the day. Snoop Dogg joins the campaign to stop investments into gun companies. Now keep in mind, this is somebody who is surrounded, when he does shows, by bodyguards who have guns. This is a man who has made his entire career off of singing about guns. This is a man who is dumber than a doorknob. Again, all image, no talent. He looks like a hard ass. He sings about hard ass topics. He raps about hard ass topics. The man makes up his own words to rhyme. He really isn't all that talented. Yes, I've seen him at Lollapalooza. I've heard worse. I don't know. That's about all I can say. But when you're talking about eliminating a God-given right to self-protection, you have to question if the man is even familiar with the history of the Second Amendment. Does he know that he would still be a slave, possibly, on a plantation if it wasn't for the Second Amendment? And while I don't really like the man, obviously I'm anti-slavery. Does he realize that one of the things that keep free men free is the right to bear arms? That's why he gets the dumb D of the day, friends. Famed rapper Snoop Dogg has become the face of the new campaign to eliminate investments into American gun companies. Known as the Unload Your 401k, the project aims to convince 401k holders to contact their financial advisors and demand that any gun investments be removed immediately. What pisses me off even more about this is the exact thing that I've been begging all of you to do on mutual funds with nuclear companies. By that, I mean Westinghouse and GE. Don't forget, General Electric is TEPCO, and TEPCO created the worst meltdown in all of human history. It's going to create cancers all over the world. It has destroyed the Pacific Ocean. And if you're in a mutual fund that's invested in anything nuclear, you're part of the problem. When I had a mutual fund, and I don't anymore, I was in a infrastructure mutual fund. I was building bridges with my money, so to speak, but not helping the nuke industry. This bonehead wants you to get out of certain 401ks over the right to protect yourself. Idiots. It says inside many of our 401k retirement portfolios are 3 public gun companies. The campaign's website states, find out if they're in yours and learn what you can do about taking them out. This is the most idiot. If it wasn't for the Second Amendment, this bonehead wouldn't even have a career. It says the YouTube video promoting the campaign, which has all comments and rating abilities disabled in a clear attempt to control public opinion, features Snoop as well as several other celebrities. I'm unloading for my loved ones that I lost, Snoop says. I'm going all in for gun-free investing. As he's surrounded by people with guns. Using carefully selected gun statistics that ignore the 75% drop in gun crime that's happened in the last 20 years, and the fact that firearms are used more than 760,000 times a year to defend against criminals, many of which are his fans, the campaign makes the assumption that a boycott of gun manufacturers will somehow equate to less violence. In other words, if you can't defend yourself, then it's going to help you. Because if we make guns illegal, then criminals won't use guns anymore. And you can tell because they made marijuana illegal and nobody uses it anymore. That's why he's getting the Dundee of the day. Snoop actually came to us, said Jennifer Fiore, spokesman for Campaign to Unload, a sponsor of the project. We're really glad to have him as part of this. It's helping bring awareness to a lot of people. Yeah, awareness on that you can't defend yourself when his fans come to shoot you down. I'm being facetious. I know that 99% of Snoop Dogg fans have never shot anybody. I'm just kidding. It says he went on to claim that the campaign was not anti-gun, but merely anti-gun lobby. No, they want to make you stop investing in the companies that are keeping you safe. That, friends, is the Dundee of the day. You're listening to The Correct Views, going a little bit long. Thank you for staying with me. Again, please donate to us if you can. You will find us on Kickstarter. The link was at the beginning of the show. And you can also donate to this show at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. Every penny that you give to me does go towards a better show. You can look us up at themediaspeaks.com, where Kyle, Court, D-Lake, and myself are always posting. Thank you for tuning in, friends. Good night. God bless, and hit subscribe. And my live listening friends. Thanks.